If you've been scrolling through endless specs, watching YouTube deep dives, and still feel like you might end up with the wrong thermal camera, you're not alone. The market is packed with high-resolution infrared devices that promise everything from instant diagnostics to flawless night work, and the pressure to pick the right one can feel like a full-time job. That's why I'm breaking it down today, so you can walk away with a clear picture of whether the FLIR 6 Pro actually fits your workflow or if it's just another pricey gadget you'll stash on a shelf. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about who the E6 Pro is built for. FLIR markets this camera as a commercial tool, which means it's aimed at professionals who need reliable thermal imaging for things like building inspections, electrical fault detection, or preventive maintenance on industrial equipment. If you're a hobbyist who wants to snap thermal selfies for fun, or a beginner who's only curious about seeing heat, you might find the price and feature set a bit overkill. On the other hand, if you're already using a handheld infrared imager on a daily basis and you need tighter integration with cloud reporting, the E6 Pro lands squarely in your sweet spot. Ease of use is the first real litmus test. FLIR has loaded the E6 Pro with a touchscreen menu that feels familiar if you've ever navigated a smartphone, but it's not exactly a plug-and-play experience. The first time you power it on, you'll be guided through a quick calibration routine that checks the sensor's baseline temperature. It takes about a minute, and once it's done, the camera locks onto the scene with a confidence-boosting autofocus that works in both daylight and darkness. That autofocus is actually one of the strongest points here. There's no need to manually adjust focus rings as you would on older thermal units, so you can keep your hands free to point at a live circuit or a rooftop vent. Low-light behavior is where the E6 Pro shines compared to many entry-level thermal cameras. The sensor's high resolution combined with FLIR's patented technology captures subtle temperature gradients even when ambient light is minimal. In a practical sense, I've seen electricians use it inside dimly lit breaker panels and get clear thermal signatures of overheating wires without having to add an external light source. That same capability translates well for building inspectors hunting for insulation gaps behind walls at dusk. The image stays crisp, and the temperature readouts remain accurate. Stabilization, however, is a modest affair. The E6 Pro does not have built-in optical image stabilization, so if you're moving the camera quickly, say, walking along a pipeline or scanning a large rooftop, you'll notice a bit of blur in the thermal video. That's not a deal-breaker for most static inspections, but it does mean you need to be deliberate with your movements. A tripod or a monopod can mitigate the issue, and many professionals carry a small, lightweight stand for that exact reason. Lens ecosystem is another practical consideration. Unlike some FLIR models that let you swap out lenses for different fields of view, the E6 Pro comes with a fixed lens that offers a moderate field of view suitable for most indoor and outdoor tasks. If you need a super wide angle to capture an entire FOD, you'll have to step back or use a secondary optical accessory, which adds cost and complexity. For most commercial use cases, spot checking a valve, tracing a hot spot on a motor, or documenting a leak, this fixed lens is more than adequate. Now let's talk about the menu system. The interface is fairly intuitive, but there's a learning curve if you haven't dealt with thermal imaging before. You can toggle between several palettes, ironbow, rainbow, black hot, etc., to highlight different temperature ranges, and you can set custom alarm thresholds that trigger an on-screen warning when a hot spot exceeds a preset limit. In practice, that alarm function saved me a few minutes during a preventive maintenance sweep. I set the alarm at ADC for a series of motor bearings, and the camera beeped the moment one bearing started heating up, letting me zero in without scanning each component manually. Battery confidence is a point where the E6 Pro does something right. The camera ships with a rechargeable lithium-ion pack that lasts roughly 3.5 hours of continuous use, which is comparable to other professional thermal units. The real benefit is the battery indicator. It's displayed prominently on the screen and drops in clear steps rather than fading away, so you never get caught mid-inspection with a dead battery. When the power does run low, the camera can be swapped quickly, no fiddly screws or proprietary chargers required. One of the biggest selling points is the FLIR Ignite cloud integration. After you capture an image or a short video, you can push it straight to the cloud with a few taps, and the platform automatically logs metadata like GPS location, timestamp, and temperature range. For a contractor who needs to deliver detailed reports to clients, that automation cuts the paperwork in half. In a real-world scenario, I use the Ignite